I am here with content creator, dating coach, Jenna Lavena. How are you doing today?
I'm doing amazing. I got Starbucks this morning and I've just been working on myself.
Definitely.
Clean today. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
love
ladies,
Star I love Starbucks. What did you order?
I ordered a strawberry acai with water.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I like their new strawberry no, their cherry chai tea. Yeah, I think. Yeah. It's
Oh,
like
I've never heard of that.
yeah,
Wow.
it's new. It's pretty good. Yeah, cherry. Yeah, I think it's like I've been following your content for like a while, like and I'm very impressed. Congratulations on all your success and like growing like your community. And I think like one of the things I was struck like when I first saw your videos, it popped up in my For You page on TikTok, and you have like a lot of insight. I think like you say like it's real. I think like that's one of the appeals to your videos. Like you really break down the truth about women and their nature and like dating, and you have like a really great insight. Where does all that come from?
Oh, so I don't personally like talking from experience because that's where the bias comes in. So ultimately, it's just by doing my own research. So mostly I've done my research on men, the way that they think, and why it helps me realize how women think is because they're dealing with women more than me. So that's where I get my insight from. I have a close relationship with my father. We talk about relationships, how guys think,
Like,
and like he agrees with most of the stuff that I say. So, yeah.
yeah, like I think it's really important for women to have a father. And I think a lot of times, like, that it can lead to issues, obviously, in dating. I'm not like bashing like women who didn't have the opportunity to grow up without a father, but I do see a difference with women like, who had like, strong relationships like with their father. Can you talk a little bit about like, the importance of having a father in your own life?
Yeah. So with my father, I'm comfortable telling him literally anything. And of course, it's the dad who's supposed to be there to support you, especially emotionally. But the reason why it's good to have is because you need that masculine presence in your life. You need to be grounded, called out when you're in the wrong, because a father can speak to you in ways that other guys can't. Like other guys are not here to baby you, tell you how to be a woman. That's your parents' job, right? And I I don't know. I feel like men know how to teach women to be feminine, especially a good father, because like the advice that my dad gives me, it just teaches me to just relax and let things happen naturally. And he's all like, you know what? Like, let a guy make a move on you. Let him tell you if he likes you. And I'm like, okay, good. So I get to relax and I just get to be patient, which is a good thing. Like, it's beneficial for women to be in their feminine. And the best way you can do that is by having a masculine father.
For sure. I think that's really sound advice. And I think one of the things that I've talked with a lot of like my friends, other people I've interviewed, is they're noticing like, how masculine women are, particularly American women. It seems like femininity is something that isn't necessarily women are striving for these days. Why do you think that is?
So I live in America too. I'm surrounded by mostly women who do their thing, if you know what I mean. They're just free. And to be honest, like their biggest fear is to be disrespected by a man. But it's like, I'm afraid of that too, but I can also trust men. So I think the reason why women are so masculine is because they're constantly surrounded by people who are going to shame them if they're feminine, if they want to be a wife one day. But I think they just fear it, they're so comfortable with just being alone or being with multiple guys. They cannot handle commitment because they know they're not mature enough for it. But that is a choice.
Most definitely. And I think like, that we see like, the dissolution of society in real time because for the majority part of like human evolution, men had their roles and women had their roles. And I feel like today in society, men don't seem really sure about like their role because women, like, obviously, like now, like, because of having like great careers and more education a lot of times than men, they really don't need men sometimes. But do you feel women need men?
Okay, so I feel like it's such a slippery slope because like I've even spoken to men who have been married to a woman for like 30 years and they say nowadays women don't need men because yes, women are capable of doing the jobs that men do. Like women could do anything that they want. We don't need men, but we do. Women are just too like selfish to say that they need men. Like they feel like they have power if they're all like, I don't need a man. And it's like my mindset, like, I don't need a man, but I do. Like I cannot be 100% happy with myself if I'm gonna die alone. You know, that's very scary. But ultimately I do think that women need men, not because they can't do things on their own, but because they will refuse to do things on their own.
Most definitely. And you always have like really great insights. One of the videos I watched, it was on TikTok, and you were talking about why guys shouldn't go after women who care too much about attention and they're always seeking external validation. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, so um I was actually a little emotional in that video because I dealt with a woman like that. I told her about my personal life. She found out I was talking to a guy and she got very upset at me. So when I say that like women love attention, like they will put other things before you, their own selfishness, their own maturity. Like, I have dealt with women who would cancel plans on me just to be with a guy and do whatever they're going to do with that guy. But it's like, I do not encourage men to date women who cancel their plans with other women to be with them because you don't know how far she would go just for your attention. Like, if she's willing to hurt other people, just for your attention, that's actually a bad thing, to be honest. Because when she only cares about you, or when she only cares about the attention that she wants, she's gonna go nowhere in life. So I think what I was really trying to get at there is that some women like attention so much that they cannot handle you being on your own in your own situations. Like they constantly need reassurance or they're insecure. Like that's not something that you want to deal with. I know I went from so many subjects, but I made that video. When did I make that video? A couple of days ago, I think. So I'm trying to remember my thought process when I was making that video because I make a lot of videos every
Yeah,
day.
you have a lot like of content. I think over 1,100 videos on YouTube. So like, I imagine it's like, pretty similar on TikTok. I was just scrolling down and you go back like 4 years. I was like, wow. And actually, I went back to like the beginning of your videos. You started off, you were doing cooking videos, freestyles, cover songs. Can you talk a little bit about why you decided to focus specifically on relationship advice?
Okay, yeah. So I started off by listening to Fresh and Fit, and which was many, many years ago, like 3 years ago probably,
Yeah.
because I got to a point in my life where I'm all like, okay, I'm talking to a guy I really like, and I just want to know like what I can do to better his life. So I'm watching Fresh and Fit and I'm learning all these things. Okay, stay traditional. Okay, stay feminine. Very good advice from him, okay? And I literally implemented that into my personal relationships, and I learned so much about myself. I learned so much about men, the way that they think. Obviously, if something doesn't resonate, I'm not going to listen to it because, like, it's my own life. Not everything he says, I'm not going to apply everything to my own life because I have a mind of my own. But ultimately so that's how I got into the whole red pill thing, but I don't claim to be red pill. And then after that, I was watching Sneeko for a while, and he went on a live and he said, you could really make it if you do content creating. And he's all like, you just got to find a way to be different. And I was literally taking notes that night, writing down everything that Sneeko was saying. And then I just started creating content right there because someone believed me. He doesn't know me, but he believed that anyone could do it. And that's how I got to where I was now.
Yeah. I enjoy some of the things that Myron Gaines says, like on Fresh and Fit. I think that he makes sense, like when he talks about femininity, obviously, but I don't like some of the things that he says about race. I think, like, some of that is kind of troublesome to me, particularly how he puts down black women. I I kind of like, I'm not feeling that, but I will say, like, I think he's a great content creator. I had a friend who went on his platform and he's a little bit overweight and he told him he had to lose weight and he wasn't feeling that. But what do you think about though, like some of the comments that Myron has had in the past about race and specifically black women, being horrible at customer service and, undesirable. And, you being, at least partially black.
Yeah, so I am like all minorities, so of course I have more of a right to speak about stuff like this. I personally didn't view it as him putting down black women because usually people like provoke him into talking about that. He's not just saying out of nowhere, "Oh, black women this." Because like when people ask him like, what are his preference, like who wouldn't he date? He'll be like, "Oh, black women," because statistically they're more overweight and they're ugly and they're ghetto, whatever it is, like of course, there are always exceptions to the rule. And I feel like what people don't like, and I disagree with that, but they don't like how direct he is. Where I'm coming from is I'm going to accept you as a person and I'm going to accept what you say as long as it's the truth. But like as a black woman, why would I care? Because at the end of the day, he's dating a black girl.
I
So
didn't know. I didn't know
he,
that. Yeah.
yeah, because he dates multiple women. So,
Okay.
but I don't think he's dating a white girl, to be honest. So he knows that there's exceptions to the rule, but like I get it. I get it. Everyone has a right to their preference and their standards. Um, but I think people shouldn't be offended by what he says because at the end of the day, he's entitled to his opinion. And if it was a guy saying that he doesn't like white girls, I feel like there would be a different way about it, to be honest. Like people wouldn't really care, because there's a bunch of stereotypes against white people. Like, oh, they're vanilla, they're boring, whatever it is, or like they copy black people, or white people are put down a lot. And I think at the end of the day, like he has his opinions, but I'm not going to let that affect my life.
Yeah.
And honestly, he probably says it because it does get a reaction that makes him his
Right.
money.
Yeah, I think like part of that is that, like, he likes to say like some outrageous things and he knows that that's going to obviously cause, like, people to come in the comments and, it raises, like, as far as like the number of people who look at the video and the engagement as well, because, like, you need to create polarized content. I think he's insightful. And, not to make it about him, but, like, I think, like, what troubles me is, like, anyone who says, like, a particular race is anything, like, I feel everyone's an individual and even fat people deserve love too. Like, I would for sure date a fat girl, like, what I'm saying, if she's a good person and, she's easy to get along with. I think, like, a lot of times, like, people like use that as an example. There's nothing wrong with being fat. There's nothing wrong. Every people like deserve love, like regardless of their shape, their size. I think it's more so like about like them being a good person. Obviously, you should try to live healthy and be in shape and do those things. But I think, do you feel like that there's too much of an emphasis in our society on superficial things, like how much money you have, as opposed to the content of the person?
Well, first of all, it's a very interesting statement to make because I feel like a lot of people think like, oh, if you don't date a specific race, you're racist. But I don't personally agree with that. Like,
No, no,
to be
no.
honest.
No, it like I feel you're attracted to who you are attracted to is not necessarily like, I have talked to some of my friends and they've said like, if they wouldn't date like, Pacific races for like for legitimate reasons. And I think like, that with me, at least, I would be open to dating anyone of any race, like if they were a good person and I got along and I was attracted to them as well. So like, I don't like race doesn't come into me, but I think like, that other people like, that's just like, something they're not interested in. They want to date someone of their same race, and I understand that.
Yeah, I mean, I personally have my own standards. There's one specific race that I don't date, and I have very good reasons behind it. Like I have statistics, I have research, whatever. But like if a man comes into my life, he's a dream man and he's that race, I'm not going to be all like, "Oh wow, you're disqualified." So that's my viewpoint. But honestly, when it comes to superficial things, women can say one thing and mean another. Like, oh, I want a rich guy. And then they meet a guy who gives them emotional support, has a good personality. He's tall and muscular, but he makes 40K a year. And she likes him. Like women think that they care so much about certain things, but I feel like as they get older, they mature more and they realize that those types of things don't matter to them. Like, sure, it sounds nice to date a guy who's rich, but if you really think about it, he's always busy. He's probably always on his phone. He's always getting work calls. Like, would you rather have a man's time or a man's money? Yeah, you can have both, but what are you doing to attract a man like that? You know what I mean?
No, I understand. I think some women seem a little bit unrealistic in about what they want. Just from my perspective, and like on the internet, obviously, like we could talk all day about that. But like what do you think women want? That's I know a pretty like broad question. What do you want?
Okay, yeah. Um, what do I want? What do women want? So I've spoken to women like from different places, different races, different personalities, and I feel like this is so hard because like a lot of women want different things, but at the end of the day, they just want to feel loved. Women, they naturally will put up with a lot of disrespect as long as they know that you love them. And obviously, that's not to say, oh, take advantage of women as long as you love them. But if you just make her feel loved, she is going to be unconditional with you as long as you're consistent with that. But like if you ghost her or anything like that, it's going to put up her walls. It's going to feel alarming to her, So you kind of have to make it up to her or like compensate for it because there's a lot of things as a man that you can do that could make a woman think like, "Oh, I deserve better. I should leave. I have other options," which is an unhealthy mindset, but a lot of women think that way. Like I I don't think someone's texting habits with you determines how important you are to them because so many people have poor communication, they're immature. Like this generation is so fucked up that they don't love you like you need to be loved. But just because someone ghosts you, it doesn't mean they don't like you. Like me personally, if I'm talking to a guy, but I'm having a bad day, why would I bring that energy towards him? I'm not gonna text him because I don't want to pour my problems onto you. I'm not talking to other guys. It's not that I don't like you. It's that I just want us to have good moments with each other. I'm only gonna bring you peace. You have a lot to deal with in your own life. Why would I bring more unless like we're very serious, you know?
No, I get that. It's funny you bring that up because this morning I was walking and I overheard a conversation, and it was a girl. She was talking to her girlfriend, and she was saying, like, this guy, I really like him. I purposely ignored his text. He invited me to play volleyball, and I never like had thought about the fact that like women actually maybe purposely ignoring text, and I'm like, is that something that women do?
Yeah, for sure. I don't know how she could pass up volleyball. That's my favorite sport. I play every sport, so she's missing out. But yes, women do purposely ignore men. Now, me, when I'm purposely ignoring a man, it's to gather my feelings together. It's because I'm thinking about, oh, you know, since I'm going through a lot, I don't want to hurt him. I don't want him to feel what I'm going through. But women do ignore men for many reasons. Like, I tell men, if she's giving you mixed signals, she's feeling that from you. She's just reflecting what you're giving to her. Like, if you're inconsistent in your mind or the way you talk to her, like if you're getting insecure, she's going to give you mixed signals. She's going to ignore you on purpose. Like women want men to chase them. That's why they do all these things that men may not think twice about, you know? Oh, maybe she's busy. But this whole time, she wants you to double text her. She wants you to try hard. Like women will do subtle things to make you pursue them because to be honest, it's embarrassing to tell a man, "Hey, I want you to show me that you're interested and that you're putting effort in for me." Like women are nervous about saying that because we live in a society where it's all like, "No, you shouldn't ask a man for what you want. Like you deserve better." And it's true, but he should know how he's making you feel.
I enjoyed one of your videos. You were talking about how they promote young girls being ran through by guys
Mhm.
their age. But if they start dating a guy who's older, who really wants a relationship, then people will be all upset about that. And you think like, that that's kind of backwards. And could you elaborate a little bit about that?
Yes. So we live in a society where so many people are protective over women when they're doing the right things. And when they're doing the wrong things, everyone's supportive. And what that's telling me is there's jealousy, there's insecurity, there's sabotage. Like, oh, as long as y'all are the same age, you can have fun, do what you want. But when it comes to an older guy who makes good money, okay, he treats you right. He's not in a rush to do inappropriate things with you. And then other people are telling you, like, oh, why does he like someone younger? There's a reason why he's single for his age. There's a reason why he's going for someone younger. Like, it's so immature to me because women don't, it's women who tell these people these things. Like, they don't want to see a man being taken care of or a woman being taken care of by an older man because a lot of women have had that dream when they were younger, right? Because there are women who let's say they're in high school, they have an older guy who takes care of them, drives them around, buys them things. Other women are jealous of that. They could have had that, but they did something wrong. So as they get older, they realize that older men are not attracted to them, they're attracted to younger women. And it may be an unsubconscious thing, but it's like, how are y'all encouraging women to sleep around with younger guys who would never take them seriously because they're young versus a guy who takes her seriously and the only thing you have a problem with is the age? Like I feel like it's very clear who the problem is, you know? Like to be honest, my opinion may change, but like if I have a daughter, I would not want her to date guys that are her age because it's very clear what they want. It's very rare to find a younger guy who's ready for commitment, who's ready for marriage. Like honestly, it's so rare to find, and young guys in general, even if they're in their 20s, they just want to have fun. They just want to party. Like it's hard to find a good man, but you're more likely to find it if you go for someone who has the same level of maturity as you. But when you're talking to guys who are the same age, they're more immature than you. That's the truth.
I think there's a lot of unjust outrage about that. I think there are situations where it could be considered predatory. I think it really depends on the individual and the people involved. Like, particularly like, Bill Belichick, for instance, and his girlfriend, like, Bill Belichick, he's a former Patriots coach. He's about 73. His girlfriend's 24. That's a huge gap. But I feel she's of an age where she obviously knows what she wants. And, he's obviously had a lot of success in his life. She probably can get things from him that she's not going to get from a guy her age. Like, just as far as perspective and insight and, advice. And I think, like, probably like, people are upset about that relationship, I hear actually more people being concerned about Bill Belichick in that situation as opposed to her. So, do you have any insight about like the situation as far as that and that age gap?
I personally like I don't think much about it, like because first of all, the woman knows what she's doing. Like she's above age. Like even if a female's 15, she knows what she's doing. She may not understand how much it may hurt other people, but she knows it's gonna hurt someone or whatever. But like she's in her 20s, she wants an older guy, and that's her own decision to make. I'm not here to call a guy a creep because he dates a younger girl. Like if I was a guy, I would date younger women too because they have less baggage, they're more feminine, they're more traditional, and I have less worries. Like if I was a guy, I would be my type. Like I would like a bubbly girl, you know what I mean? So I understand it if I were to look into a man's perspective. Yeah, the age, it sounds like a lot, but I'm not going to take it away from him because he did a good job to make her feel that way, to make her interested. Like, obviously, he's different than all these other guys her age, and I can't take that away from him.
Yeah, most definitely. I think you hear all the time and stuff. I get worried like a lot of times online, like when they start calling guys creeps, and sometimes like the age differences aren't even that vast. Like, that's like an extreme example. But I think like, sometimes like, the age difference, it'll be like 5 years. He's like, like, hold on. Like, do you feel in society that there's too many opinions about what people should be doing and not so much of an emphasis on actual behavior that's based in morality and more so like now being avoiding potential, I guess, situations where it could be predatory because you look at a situation like what Diddy is alleged to have been doing. And obviously, like he's accused of victimizing women, but then there's the flip side to that argument that these people were willing participants. And obviously, if you weren't part of it, it's hard to know, but do you see that?
Yeah, so I do think it's very easy to stereotype against men based on your own personal experience, and that's why I think that women should be feminine and traditional because the less hurt or the less in pain that men cause, the less you're going to be writing comments about people being creeps. And I think it's all projection. If you call a guy a creep just because he's with someone over an age gap, like I'm gonna look at you weird because like why are you accusing someone of something with a lack of information? You know, like they probably wish they were in a spot where older men would be attracted to them because they know the pros about it, they know the advantages of it. So I think at the end of the day, like it's okay to tell people to keep their feelings or their opinions to themselves because that's truly what they need to do. Like if they're saying something to make other people feel bad and disappointed instead of empowered, that says a lot about them than the person who's in the situation. So this hatred going around, people are only doing it over the internet because they don't care about boundaries. But in real life, it's not like they're going to go up to the person and start something. They know it's stupid, so they don't do it, you know?
Well said. One of your pinned TikToks is you're advocating for Lau and Eric Menendez, which I was surprised to see. And I live in California and I know that they're eligible for parole after resentencing. Are you pretty happy about that decision?
Yes, I'm very happy about that decision, but what I am disappointed about is how no one believed the lawyer and what was going on. I am disappointed for how long it took. Their lives were taken away from them, and honestly, it's their parents' fault for putting them through what they did, because if it was the other way around, if it was the Menendez sisters, they would have gotten justice. And, you know, the criminal system is a joke. And those are not my words, those are words from a police officer. Because I don't only talk to just one kind of people. I talk to anyone, I get along with
Yeah.
anyone. So, yes, I'm happy about that and I want them to get out. I was like, literally, I've known about this case since I was like 10. And I'm all like, when I get older, like, I'm gonna join the military, I'm gonna get in touch with the president to get them out of jail. Cause, like, I know how much power that I have. And then I'm seeing all these celebrities getting involved, but like, I really want to do something for them. And the first thing that I can do is have a voice about it. But they are on my mind frequently because it matters to me.
Yeah, I think like that it like is an important issue, and you talked about like society like failing men, and I thought like that you were that's a very empathetic thing to hear, especially from women, because I feel like in society it seems that there is no compassion for men, especially like in their situation who were abused by their father and made a mistake. Obviously, as a young man, your prefrontal cortex hasn't even developed. What's next for you? Where do you see yourself, like, as a content creator going? Like, and what's next week? What's next in the next year? Next in the next 5 years?
So I honestly don't know because lately I've had a lot of responsibilities and commitments. I'd like to think next year I would be going on podcasts like Fresh and Fit, whatever, debating people, talking about my opinions. But to be honest, I might be so busy that I won't be able to do that. Many people are telling me, like, you need to get on a podcast, you need to get on a podcast. But it's like, I have shit to do. So I don't know how that's going to work out. Like maybe a couple of years from now, it would be nice to have it 1 year from now. But I just have a lot going on a year from now. But when it comes to content creating, just get in touch with as many people as I can. Go forward in coaching because I do not get paid to make content. Yes, I have 100,000 followers in total or whatever. But when they're trying to pay me, they put so many rules on it. Oh, you got to
Right.
post 5 times a day. You got to do this and that. I don't like having a boss if like I want to do what I want to do. You know, like if I want to do it, you don't get to tell me when or where cuz like I don't know how to describe it. It's like if I can make my money through other ways, like why are you gonna limit things? So yeah, they're all like, we'll pay you to do it, but you just got to do this and that and this and that. And I'm like, in my own life, I got to do this and that, this and that. Like content creating is just for peace. It's to have fun. It's not to do what you say and then I get money. No.
No, I get that. I feel that there are like, some strict guidelines, especially on TikTok. And it seems that they really try to control the algorithms. I've heard like, other TikTok creators who some of who like I really like enjoy their content, and I've spoken with them and they've talked about how like kind of like TikTok does something where it'll keep their videos like under a certain point just so they don't have to pay them. And like, you look at like before, like weeks ago, their videos were going viral, and like now it's like I'm not seeing, I have to actively go on their page to find their videos. I feel like, that sometimes it seems like there's a little bit of manipulation going on. And I see that also on Instagram where there's gatekeeping. But it's incredible. Like, and I'm really glad, like, I was able to connect with you. Like, we finally got a chance to like, make it happen. And I really do enjoy your content and your advice. And uh, I'm trying to like, make it applicable in my life as much as possible. So thank you.
Thank you. I always love to help people. So I'm glad to hear that. And with TikTok, I've most definitely had my run-ins with them. Like, not many people know about this, but um, when I was on TikTok and like I was in high school, so a young age, this was sophomore year, and there were a lot of women who were jealous of me. They were adults and they reported my content accusing me of being sexual when I wasn't, just to get my page down. So they didn't even investigate it. They just took my page down. And then they were accusing me of being 13. I wasn't. I showed them proof. But because of that situation, there are so many limits on TikTok over something that they know is a lie. So it seems like they fall into these social pressures. But I do think it's very creepy for like adult women to make weird accusations about me. Like, for example, I one time said, like, oh, like young girls should not be wearing revealing clothes. And now all of a sudden, these adult females are accusing me of being attracted to children. And I'm like, what the that's a crazy accusation. It's obviously not true. I don't know where that came from, how someone could even think that way. But like, you have to be really strong about your opinions because people are going to make false accusations against you. They're going to try to destroy your image when they don't even know you.
Yeah, I think like, that I've definitely been on the side of that. I've had, people put my address online. I've had where, people were bringing up things like, that videos in the past and kind of like taking them out of context. One time I when I was in college, I dressed up as a white penis, but it was to promote the vagina monologues. So like people were saying I was a white supremacist because I was
Oh my.
wearing, yeah, because I was wearing a white a white penis costume. Like it was absolutely absurd. But and like somebody had to really go back and to find that on my page. But I thought it was funny. It was they didn't have any black penis costumes, and they paid us like $200. It was like it had. I'm not racist. Like I'm not gonna put that on because
Right.
because it's like I think people are ridiculous and like they kind of like take things like the internet. And you see it a lot of times where like people like will take something and blow it so out of proportion. I feel like, that the internet is a crazy place, but really, I love your content and thank you again for coming on. You're welcome back anytime. And I know you're busy and stuff and everything. I hope like if you're ever in LA, we should do a podcast. I really appreciate you.
Of course, yeah, people do take it to the extreme. I've most definitely dealt with that a lot with people taking my videos out of context. And to be honest, you kind of just have to laugh about it because they're projecting, they're insecure. And I'm like, the only reason why you're mad is because you don't get bitches. Because like I call men out. So if they're
Yeah.
mad at me, I know what their insecurities are, I know what their triggers are. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm the powerful one because you're getting so mad at me. Now I know what type of man you are. You're making a production out of it. So now women know to stay away from you because I would never date a guy and I find out that he's writing negative comments under other females' posts. That's embarrassing for me. My status matters. The way that you act reflects onto me, right? Because men care about status, but so do women. They never want you to do something to make them look bad because it is embarrassing.
Most definitely. Jenna,
But yeah, I know we have to go because I
we
have
got a minute
things
left.
going on.
Where can people follow you on social media?
So on my YouTube, it's Jenna Lavena, Jenna space Lavena, and then it's the same on TikTok with no space. And then on Instagram, it's Jenna.sentient, so Jenna period Sentient. Those are the social medias that I have, the only ones. On Facebook, I've been posting on there too. I don't know my username. I barely use that. If
Definitely.
you find me, you find me.
Definitely, Jenna. I really appreciate you and thank you again. And you're welcome back anytime.
Thank you. Well, have a wonderful night.
Yeah, you as well.